Hi everyone, welcome back. We're going to wrap up Module 1.2 by discussing a very common sequence of verbs in data science. That sequence is group by, summarize, arrange. So first we're going to group by a particular characteristic or trait or category. So say for example, if we had data on individuals, maybe we would want to group by race or by sex, and then summarize the data based on those categories. Or in our case, we have data at the country level, and we may want to have summaries by region or by year. So we'll group by the category that we want to summarize. We'll do the summary. The summary could be a mean, median, min value, max value, standard deviation, what have you, and then arrange the data based on the values of a certain variable. So that's the sequence that we're going to look at today, and we're going to continue on with the example of the that we've been building in this module, with a combination of World Bank and VDEM data for this little exercise. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So we'll start a new heading here, and we'll call it Group, Summarize, and Arrange. And we'll say, and the reason I do this, I always write a little bit of text, is I want you to get used to writing in your Quarto document, so that when you have data or you have a visualization, think of it like a document, just like a Word document or any other document. That's the point of Quarto, is that you can say something about your data and communicate something in text about the data, in addition to just having, running code chunks or having the visualization itself. So this is important to get in the habit of, and it's also good to take good notes and to signal to other people what you're doing, to communicate to other people what you're doing with your data. So here we're going to group by, we are going to first group our data by region, then summarize the data, and then arrange it in descending order or ascending order based on the values of a particular variable. That's what we're going to do. And so we'll go ahead and insert a code chunk. We can give it a label, group, summarize, arrange. It's a long label, but it works. And from there, we can go ahead and start writing our code. Okay. So we should have everything loaded in terms of packages. dplyr should be loaded. So we can go ahead and just say we're going to do group, summarize, arrange, and we're going to start. We're going to save our new data in this object called dem summary. Okay, dem women, and so we're going to use the dem women, dem underscore women data frame that we just created in the last lesson, and then we're going to pipe that into group by, and we're going to group by region. Okay, and then our summary is going to be, we're going to summarize a number of the variables, including polyarchy, and I'm just going to list the variables first here: GDP per capita, FLFP, female labor force participation, and women's representation. Okay, and we can just start by taking the mean of each of these. So we're going to have mean polyarchy, we're going to do na.rm equals true, which means that we want to remove the NAs when we're calculating the mean here. So we're going to say na.rm equals true. We'll do the same thing for GDP per capita. na.rm equals true. We'll do the same thing for FLFP. na.rm equals true. And we'll do the same thing for women's representation. FLFP, na.rm equals true. Okay. Okay, so we can go ahead and then the next step will be to arrange it, but let's go ahead and see what these data look like here. Dem summary. And so there you have it. So these are our, now we can just see that we have a new data frame, Dem summary, which has basically the summaries of these variables: polyarchy, GDP per capita, female labor force participation, and women's representation for each of the regions in our data set: Africa, Asia, Eastern Europe, Latin America, Middle East, and the West. Okay, and we can go ahead and we can look at those if we want as well. So Dem summary, if we just open up the data frame, and this is what that looks like. Okay, we could also, if we wanted to, just instead of storing it, we could just run it like this. And then it would just give us the table in Quarto. And in fact, why don't we just leave it like that? And we can play around with this a little bit. So maybe instead of mean, we want to take the median of polyarchy, and maybe instead of GDP per capita being the mean of GDP per capita, we want the max value. Let's just say, for argument's sake, and then for female labor force participation, we can do a different summary, the min value, and we can run that and see what we get. Okay, and then in this case, we're getting for polyarchy, we have the median value for each region. For GDP per capita, now we have the max value, female labor force participation, the min value, and then women's representation, we have the mean value. Again, this would be the max and min value within the region, so the country with the maximum value, the country with the minimum value, and then the other two would be median and mean. Okay, so we can summarize in different ways. And then the last step of this could be to arrange it. And here, let's arrange in descending order by, let's see, polyarchy is the median. Let's say women's, oh, I made a mistake, sorry. Let me go back here. So I have mean FLFP. I want mean women's, maybe you caught this already, mean women's representation. And now this isn't going to work because I don't have the full code here, but let's just run that. Okay, and that's the mean women's representation in each region. Okay, and let's say I want to sort on that variable now, the mean women's representation, and I can use the arrange verb to do that sorting. I can sort in descending order by polyarchy, or I just said I was going to do women's representation, so let me do that. And there we go. It is sorted in order of women's representation. Or if I want to do it in ascending order, I could go ahead and change that. Okay, or if I wanted to do a different variable altogether, I could do that. And so that's the basic workflow there for group by, summarize, and arrange that you should be familiar with. A very common workflow. Okay, so the last thing we want to do is to save these data for future use. So let's go ahead and change these all back to mean. So we'll summarize by mean for all 4 variables. That all looks good. And let's go ahead and summarize in descending, or range in descending order of polyarchy. And let's go ahead and make sure that works. And that all looks pretty good. And so let's go ahead and store our new data frame in an object called demSummary. And then we're going to save as a CSV for future use. Okay, we'll do that with the write CSV function from readr. The object we're saving is demSummary, and we are going to save it here to our data subdirectory within our modules project folder. So this is going to be data / we're going to call this demSummary.csv. Oops, put the quotation marks in the wrong place from there. Okay, and that should work. And then we can go ahead and glimpse it on the way out. View data. And that should all work. Let's go ahead and run that. That all looks good. And we have our demSummary CSV here in the data folder. So let's go ahead now and just render our document, just get in the habit of doing that. Now we're going to render it as HTML. And so when that's finished, that should open up in a web browser and it should look like this. This is our finished HTML document for this module. And then let's go ahead and do one more thing. Let's change the format to PDF, and let's save the document or render the document as a PDF file. And this should work so long as you have TinyTech installed. We did that during the setup process at the beginning of the course. Okay, and now if your document rendered properly, then you should have a PDF document like this. Usually opens up in the web browser, but you also find it as a file now saved in the modules project folder. So you could click on that and open it with your favorite PDF viewer, whatever that is. But this is essentially what the PDF document looks like. And that is basically it for this lesson and this module. In the next module, module 2.1, I'm going to start making data visualizations with the data that we wrangled here with ggplot2. See you in the next lesson.